Hi, this is Monica from Numberly. So in the prior video, I talked about cash flow from the perspective of cash coming in, your license revenues and the timing of those payments. Today, I want to talk about the cash going out and the balance between the two and how you might think about managing that. So let's say, for example, all of the sources of cash going out are, we list them out in the model and we divide it into G&A, which means general and administrative expenses. So this might be things like your rent, whatever you might be paying your accountant or bookkeeper, banking fees, and so on. So this is basically all of your kind of fixed expenses that you're paying out on a monthly basis. You can see that these are all predictable and essentially the same on a month-by-month basis. So you can forecast them annually, and the model will then just divide up those costs on a monthly basis evenly. And you may also have marketing spend, and that goes into the category called S&M, or sales and marketing expenses. And so let's say, for example, you've got a digital ads campaign, you do other sales and marketing. So here are all of your marketing related expenses, and then you may have sort of other expenses as well. That might be R&D or other operating expenses. They would also feed into the cash going out. So the sum in this particular case, it's a simple model. They've only got sales and marketing and G&A, or general and administrative expenses. So the sum of those is going to be this line here, which is the total cash going out. And the model then compares very simply the cash coming in. So because remember, we had a delay of 60 days before our B2B customers pay for their annual license, that means that cash doesn't come in till March. So it means that, in fact, we thought we were selling $36,000 worth of subscriptions in January, but because we're not getting that cash until 2 months later, the model now tells us that we've got a shortfall of about $44,000 that we need to cover somehow before that money comes in. So if we then look at, how does this compare to when I might think about fundraising? So let's say, for example, we're targeting a fundraise for March of $500,000. Well, what that means is that we're going to have 2 months before the initial cash from those first subscribers and licenses starts arriving. So this shortfall is going to have to be covered somehow. Either that, we need to self-fund this, or if we go back over to our fundraising and we say, okay, well, based on the shortfall, we don't actually want to wait until March, but we want to raise those funds in January. We want to close in January. And what that does is that it shifts the fundraising to January. And now you can see that the funding coming in covers our shortfall of operating cash, and we now have a cash balance, which is the difference between the $500,000 that came in, and even though we didn't have any income or cash received in that month, we are able to cover that shortfall of expenses. And the way that you use the model going forward is to basically track your cash balance over time. And if this number turns negative, and the month that it turns negative, that basically dictates the amount of runway that you have before your cash runs out and you need to fundraise again. So you're always going to be looking out for this cash balance line, and when it turns zero or negative, that means that you will be running out of cash in that month. So therefore you can count the number of months until you get there. That's called your runway. And in that month, either you need to be generating more revenues, you need to cut costs, or you need to go out and fundraise to cover your shortfall. I hope that's helpful. If you have any questions, please go to numberly.io and the chatbot on the right-hand side. Thanks very much.